Hi,
Okay.
Frankie.
Good morning, Frankie, Tracy.
Good. Tracy.
If you've joined us online and we don't know you're with us, you can comment so that we can say hi to you too.
Hi.
Like a recap for Daniel 10, because we're getting ready to go into 11.
Prayer is our strongest and most important spiritual weapon. We can defeat Satan and his minions. Much prayer, much power. No prayer, no power.
Well, and I definitely read through all of 10 because I have underlined as soon as he finished instructing Daniel, Gabriel would return to assist Michael in battling the Prince of Persia and the Prince of Greece. And then his people, one reason God commands his people to pray for those in authority is so God's will, not Satan's plans, may be fulfilled in their lives. And he's 1 Timothy. And then, oh, you know what? We did stop because there's an interlude. I have it circled. The interlude was,
It was like a guide.
we're leading into the breakdown of prophecy and that have been fulfilled and prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled. So it says the prophecies given in chapters 11 and 12 is long and complex. The first 35 verses of Daniel 11 were prophecy in Daniel's day, but are now history. They deal with important, but for the most part, forgotten historical characters with difficult names and complicated relationships. So this is the outline. The prophecies fulfilled in Daniel 11, 1 through 35. So 1 and 2 is about Persia.
Supposed to be reading it today.
Maybe. So that you understand 11 and 12. Yeah, I could send a text. Oh, yeah. You want to send it? Oh, you just want to send it in a text? Okay.
Yeah.
And then Greece is verses 3 and 4.
Who's the Prince of Greece?
Whoever the demon is in charge there.
Okay.
Egypt is 5 through 20. Antiochus, Antiochus, sorry. Antiochus, Epiphanes, Epiphanes, Epiphanes. Antiochus Epiphanes and Syria are verses 21 through 35. Those are the prophecies that were already fulfilled. Then the prophecies that are yet to be fulfilled is chapters 11, verse 36 through chapter 12, verse 3. This one's more simple. So the tribulation and the Antichrist is 11:36 through 12:1. The promised kingdom is 12, 2 and 3. And then the final instructions to Daniel is 12, 4 through 13.
This is to Daniel.
12, 4 through 13. Says these prophecies fill in the details of previous prophecies the Lord had given to Daniel and were the answer to his prayer for greater understanding of God's plans for Israel. The focus is on Israel in the last days.
What is going on over there?
Yeah, do you have any updates?
On Israel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only thing they have attacks coming from all sides now. But it's not as bad as it could be, but there are bombs coming in from northeast, northeast and, northwest and south. Is that right? West, yes, northwest and south. One thing that I heard and read about was Israel bombed the airport in Damascus,
Ooh,
and that was like major, doing something like that.
that's Jordan.
And Damascus was something that had to be taken out of the way before. See, the prophecy says that Israel will have no one to stand with them at all. And all around them, they will be surrounded, which they already are surrounded. They already have attacks coming from them, but they still have some countries for them. And they,
Such as,
well, us, supposedly.
Kinda on the face.
Yeah. And it also said Damascus won't be there for them. You know, they will be taken down out. Well, they're out.
but Israel took them out.
Israel took them out. Well, they're part of Jordan, correct? Aren't they part of
Yeah.
Jordan? And Jordan is not for them. Islamic. So, that's all I know right now. Everything is still under war. They're bringing in more troops. They're still fighting this stupid. He said this, he said that, like, okay, the bombing of the hospital. It's so clear of who bombed the hospital. It's also so clear who funded these terrorists. But yet they're saying, oh, no, everything is all the Israelis' faults. It's Israel, it's Israel. So they're still throwing out that narrative for the world to pick up arms against Israel. And
People
most,
I mean, it just shows you how people are sheep, that they actually believe this.
well, it's more the liberals, they want to jump on a bandwagon and say,
Well,
oh,
yeah, because everyone will follow them
yep.
right into the pit.
And they're jumping on this bandwagon saying that all of the terrorists are being prodded into doing what they're doing because they're bullied. So it's so ridiculous.
Seems like Hollywood is backing the Palestinians.
Well,
Of course they are.
Hollywood belongs to China
Yes, it does.
And Satan.
and Satan. Satan owns China. Yeah. 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 So
So
that's,
I choose not to read a lot of that stuff. That's why I didn't depend on you.
well, I honestly think everybody should read it because they would pick up more than what I'm picking up, maybe.
I don't care.
No, God allows you to know what we need
I
to
don't
know.
care what it is.
I don't care. I just want the Lord to come back.
Amen.
Connie, maybe you
So-
should do a podcast.
Oh, no. Oh,
Oh,
no.
You could have your cat set up there and do this.
Yeah.
You could do the talking.
Yeah, like I can sit in front of a camera. Judy.
Judy.
Oh. So anyway, go ahead with 11.
Okay. Sure. I need to move mine. All right, so we need, let's see, there's an overview and then it's 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and then 5 through 20. And there's going to be a lot of history.
Mine goes 1 through 20.
Wow, okay,
It's very short.
okay.
And he talks a whole lot.
Okay, so do we want to just read through 20 then? Because that would bring us to the end of Egypt and Syria
Mhm.
section. Who'd like to read 1 through 20?
Hello,
Thanks, Caitlin.
can you hear me?
Can you guys hear Caitlin?
If she speaks up.
Here,
Okay, I will speak now. So my 11:1 starts, in the year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to strengthen and protect him. Now I will tell you the truth. 3 more kings will arise in Persia, and the fourth will be far richer than the others. By the power he gains through his riches, he will stir up everyone against the kingdom of Greece.
Okay, that is Persia. According to our breakdown
Kingdom
here.
of Greece. Wait a minute.
No, that 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Verses 1 and 2, he's talking about Persia.
You should know, I read them.
Good news.
Mhm.
Okay, 1 and 2 is Persia. Current day Iran, right?
I have a
Then a-
footnote. Oh, sorry. I have a footnote that says the fourth Persian king may be Xerxes, the first, also known as Ahasuerus in the Book of Esther. Anyway,
Hmm.
Then a warrior king will arise. He will rule a vast realm and do whatever he wants. But as soon as he is established, his kingdom will be broken up and divided to the 4 winds of heaven, but not to his descendants. It will not be the same kingdom that he ruled, because his kingdom will be uprooted and will go to others besides him.
Okay, so 3 and 4 is Greece, Alexander the Great. Remember, his kingdom got split into 4, his leaders.
Mhm.
He died very young.
Greece,
Mhm.
Alexander.
The king of the south will grow powerful, but one of his commanders will grow more powerful and will rule a kingdom greater than his. After some years, they will form an alliance, and the daughter of the king of the south will go to the king of the north to seal the agreement. She will not retain power, and his strength will not endure. She will be given up together with her entourage, her father, and the one who supported her during those times. In the place of the king of the south, one from her family will rise up, come against the army, and enter the fortress of the king of the north. He will take action against them and triumph. He will take even their gods captive to Egypt, with their metal images and their precious articles of silver and gold. For some years, he will stay away from the king of the north, who will enter the kingdom of this king of the south and then return to his own land. His sons will mobilize for war and assemble a large number of armed forces. They will advance, sweeping through like a flood, and will and will again wage war as far as his fortress. Infuriated, the king of the south will march out to fight with the king of the north, who will raise a large army. But they will be handed over to his army. When the army is carried off, he will become arrogant and cause tens of thousands to fall, but he will not triumph. The king of the north will again rise, a multitude larger than the first. After some years, he will advance with a great army and many supplies. In those times, many will rise up against the king of the south. Violent ones among your own people will assert themselves to fulfill a vision, but they will fail. Then the king of the north will come, build up a siege ramp, and capture a well-fortified city. The forces of the south will not stand, even their select troops will not be able to resist. The king of the north who comes against him will do whatever he wants, and no one can oppose him. He will establish himself in the beautiful land with total destruction in his hand. He will resolve to come with the force of his whole kingdom and will reach an agreement with him. He will give him a daughter in marriage to destroy it, but she will not stand with him or support him. Then he will turn his attention to the coasts and islands and capture many. But a commander will put an end to his taunting. Instead, he will turn his taunts against him. He will turn his attention back to the fortress of his own land, but he will stumble, fall, and be no more. In his place, no one.
Okay, so 20, is that where you're at? You're going on to 21?
I'm reading 20 right now.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. In his place, nope. In his place, one will rise who will send out a tax collector for the glory of the kingdom, but within a few days he will be broken. They're not in anger or in battle.
Wow. Okay, so that 5 through 20 is Egypt and Syria. And I have all kinds of notes, like Cleopatra is in on this. That last guy that went out quietly without a fight, he was poisoned. Like, we'll probably read more about it, but.
Egypt and Syria.
Mhm.
I spelled Syria.
Syria. Okay, that's where we were stopping, right?
Mhm.
Caitlin, I need to get really detailed notes because we will probably want to add all this to our taped up notes.
I mean, I'll try.
You're gonna be the better
I
one.
I have not been doing well at taking notes because.
Well, we can always reread it as we take the notes.
Over my head.
Okay, fulfilled prophecy is one of the proofs of the inspiration of the Bible. For only an omniscient God can know the future events accurately and direct his servants to write them down. He reveals deep and secret things. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells in him. It is no surprise then that the radical critics have attacked the book of Daniel, especially these chapters, because they claim that nobody could write in advance so many accurate details about so many people and events. Their scientific conclusion is that the book of Daniel is a fraud. It was written centuries after these events, and therefore is not a book of prophecy at all. These critics can't deny the historicity of the events because the records are in the annals of ancient history for all to read and cannot be denied. Therefore, to maintain their scientific theories, they must deny the reality of prophecy. Those of us who believe in a great God have no problem accepting the word of prophecy. 2 Peter 1:19-21. First, we will consider the verses that were prophecy in Daniel's day, but have been fulfilled and are now in ancient history. As we do, we will try to glean some practical spiritual lessons to help us in our Christian walk today. So 1 and 2, prophecies about Persia. It is likely that verse 1 should be at the end of the previous chapter, since it deals with the holy angels' conflict with Satan's angels. The rulers of Persia had no idea that Satan was seeking to control their minds and to lead them into making decisions that would hurt the people of God. The Persian rulers were much more considerate of the Jews than were the Babylonian rulers. And Satan didn't want this to happen. He hates the Jews and is the father of anti-Semitism wherever it is found. Revelation 12. However, Michael and Gabriel won that battle, and Darius and Cyrus showed compassion for the Jewish exiles. In fact, it was Cyrus who issued the important edict that permitted the Jews to return to their land and rebuild their temple in Ezra 1:1-4. The 4 kings that would rule the future were, and I have him up there. Okay, Cambius, 529.
Where is it up there?
In the green on the left, in the green. King Cambius,
Okay,
529-522.
okay.
Then there was Pseudo Smerdis, Pseudo hyphen Smerdis. He ruled from 522-521. That was short. Then we have Darius 1, or maybe it's, Hystapes. He ruled from 521-486. He had a pretty long reign. And then there was Xerxes, or Xerox, as we like to call him. Xerxes. He reigned from 496-465.
Mine says 486. But that's okay.
Yeah. The Asterisk of the book of Esther. So this was Xerxes in the book of Esther. So that's your overview of them. Okay, so Cambyses, Cambys, was the son and successor of Cyrus. So my note on the king up there is who is Cyrus's son, Cyrus the Great, and perhaps is Xerxes or Ahasuerus of Ezra 4:6. His passionate ambition was to invade Egypt and to regain the territory that Nebuchadnezzar had gained, but was later lost, and thus manufactured an excuse for war. Nothing's new. Saying that he had asked for the hand in marriage of one of the Egyptian princesses, but had been rejected by her father. That's why he started the war. He did conquer Egypt, but he tried to take Ethiopia and Carthage. He failed miserably and had to retreat. He ruled Egypt with an iron hand and gave every evidence of being insane. He married two of his sisters, murdered his brother and heir, Smerdis, then murdered the sister who protested the murder of the brother. And one of the leading Persian priests plotted an insurrection and seized the throne, taking the name of the dead prince. Historians call him Pseudo-Smerdis. Well, that's interesting. So he killed his brother and the heir, which would have been Smerdis, and then this Persian priest led an insurrection, took the throne, and took the name of Smerdis. Pseudo. Cambyses died while marching home to unseat the new king, who reigned for about a year. That explains his short little stint. Remember I said that was a short reign?
Mhm.
But the most important of the four kings, the wealthiest, was Xerxes I, the Ahasuerus of the book of Esther. He ruled an empire that reached from Ethiopia to India, and he had a great passion to conquer Greece. In 480, he tried to invade Greece, but his vast fleet was defeated at Salamis and Samos, and his army was defeated at Plataea. I don't even know how you say these words. All of this occurred between chapters 1 and 2 of the book of Esther.
Mhm.
He came home a bitter and angry man and sought to find relief for his wounded pride by enjoying his harem. Dun, dun, dun. It was at this time that Esther entered the picture. Oh, so this is a nice little history lesson, because we don't get this, do we? Okay, so he came home, a bitter and angry man, sought to find relief in his wounded pride by enjoying his harem. It was at this time that Esther entered the picture. Xerxes was assassinated in August of 465. A lot of details there about that history.
You didn't even need the blue pill.
No, no.
That's what I was thinking.
He just took a dagger out on his women. Okay, that was verses 3 and 4. Anybody need me to repeat anything?
3 and 4 was 1 and 2.
Sorry, 1 and 2. Thank you, Janet. A lot of good information there.
I was reading this now. What's going on in there?
All right, yours does 1 through 20 all in one shot.
Yeah, it's one paragraph.
Wow. Okay, so now we're moving on to prophecies about Greece in verses 3 and 4. It's fairly short. So from the previous visions, Daniel already knew the sequence of the great empires, because remember, Nebuchadnezzar had the vision and Daniel had 3 visions. So the mighty king of 11:3, of course, is Alexander the Great from Greece, who was determined to punish the Persians for Xerxes' invasion. We have already met Alexander and know about his vast army and his lightning-like conquest of the nations. Indeed, he did what he pleased and nobody could stand in his way. In 332, Alexander defeated the Persians. Okay, that says 331. And in 323, he died and his kingdom was divided among 4 of his generals. Once again, Alexander's incredible quests were part of the sovereign plan of God. The spread of the Greek language, remember he was the one they said was kind and united everybody. The spread of the Greek language and the Greek culture assisted in the eventual spread of the gospel and the Greek New Testament. Alexander's goal was not just to conquer territory, but to bring people together in a united empire. His soldiers married women from the conquered nations, and Alexander's empire became a melting pot for all peoples. This too assisted in the spread of the gospel centuries later.
Even though it looked like it was all, oh no, he wasn't, was he evil? He wasn't evil.
No, it said he was kind, he was united. But he had to have been brutal to be able to conquer all those.
In 4 years.
Mm-hmm. There would have had to have been some, or maybe people were like they did so well, people were glad to be a part of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it
That's
could
true.
be that too, I guess. Because they did go down pretty easy. I doubt it though. Egos are involved. And men. Any thoughts up to through 4? Okay, so you'll notice up here, like Salacious, Babylon, Syria, like, so they've named some of this. We now know who the missing kings were between the green and the black. Remember those missing years? I was like
Mhm.
questioning that. All right. The kings of the north and the south, that 5 through 20. The nations here are Egypt, south, and Syria, north. But the rulers change regularly. The little nation of Israel was caught between these two great powers and were affected by their conflicts. All of these people and events may not be interesting to you, but the prophecies that Daniel recorded tally with the record of history, thus proving that God's word can be trusted. The Ptolemy line provided rulers in Egypt. So we see Ptolemy 1 there, and then Egypt is underneath there.
You said Egypt was north and what was south?
Egypt was south and Syria was north.
Oh,
So the Ptolemy line provided rulers in Egypt, and the Seleucid line rulers in the north or Syria. And you'll see Seleucus 1 there. These paragraphs are merely summary statements. But if you read them in the light of related verses, you will see how Daniel's prophecies were fulfilled. Along with reading your King James Version, you may also want to read these verses in the NASB or the NIV. So verse 5, Ptolemy 1, Soter, Soter. Okay, so he must have a last name. And then Salacious 1, Nicator. Salacious was the stronger of the two and ruled over a large empire. But it was his alliance with Ptolemy that enabled him to seize the throne of Syria. Oh,
So when the king of the south will grow powerful, but one of his commanders will grow more powerful and take rule a kingdom greater than his.
verse 5. That,
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out who was who.
so Salacious was the stronger one, so he had the large empire. But he had an alliance with Ptolemy. So Salacious was the ruler over Babylon and Syria. Ptolemy was ruler over Egypt and Palestine. So those two came together in a partnership.
This is why I don't have any notes, because it is so
Yeah.
confusing to me.
So he had an alliance. Those two had an alliance and allowed him to seize the throne of Syria because Salacious was over Syria.
and
I'm
that,
gonna put
the Seleucids, all right, so Ptolemy 1 was Egypt and Palestine, and the Seleucids were what?
Seleucus was Babylon and Syria. Ptolemy 1 Soter. And Seleucus 1 Nicator.
One that's so confusing.
No,
I feel like you all get this and I just like,
No, Caitlin, I don't. Trust me.
No, it's gonna take us
I'm-
doing it full times for it to make
I-
sense.
so in the scripture, it says the king of the south will grow powerful, and one of his commanders will grow more powerful and rule a kingdom greater than his.
So the king of the south is Egypt. Which would be Ptolemy.
So, okay. Thank you.
Is that
Mhm.
Ptolemy 1?
Yes. Sotar. Soter.
Give me here on that, because mine says in 252 BC, Ptolemy the second of Egypt.
Okay,
We didn't get to there yet.
No, we're not there. That's verse 6.
Okay, and who was his commander that grew more powerful?
Well, if he was from
And greater than his.
Egypt. So the rulers changed regularly, blah, blah, blah. The Ptolemy line provided the rulers in Egypt, and the Seleucid line, the rulers in South or North Syria.
Well, this is after Alexander the Great. Where's that about the 4 people who took over from him?
Over there with the lines on the left.
The
Mm.
lines going up and
Yeah,
down.
I don't think, I don't, was there a picture of that sent in our
Yes.
group text? There,
Yeah.
okay, all right. I need to print that one. I printed all
We
the
are
other
next-
ones.
We are eventually going to get this all typed up and have a visual. So Seleucus was the stronger of the two. So Seleucus would have been over Syria.
That's what it says there.
Yeah. And had the larger empire, but he had an alliance with Ptolemy, which
Yeah,
helped him
yeah.
seize the throne of Syria. He was already the leader of Syria. Okay, now the one that rises up would be probably Antiochus.
One of the commanders that grew
Mhm.
more powerful and rule a kingdom greater than his.
Will that be in verse
Antiochus
6?
is the one that came in and destroyed them, the Jewish. Okay, well, let's go on to verse 6 and see if it makes more sense.
Okay.
Or maybe we'll Google and just say, give us the line of leaders. Okay. As was often done in the days of monarchies, the rulers used marriage as a means of forming strong political alliances, a policy that Solomon had followed. However, Ptolemy demanded that Antiochus divorce his wife Laodice, Laodice, in order. So he wanted Antiochus to divorce his wife in order to marry his daughter Bernice. Bernice's name's coming up again.
Yes, I saw that.
I would never name her Bernice. Ptolemy died after 2 years. So Seleucus took back his former wife. Hey, a minute. Ptolemy demanded that Antiochus divorce his wife, Laodice, in order to marry his daughter. I'm assuming he's meaning Ptolemy's daughter.
Mhm.
Ptolemy died after 2 years. So Seleucus took back his former wife, who then murdered both him and Bernice. It was one marriage where they didn't live happily ever after. She did not retain her power, and he and his power will not last. Daniel 11:6, which I did have a note that Seleucus was poisoned in my Bible.
Okay. The daughter who came south. Okay, so that is Bernice, right?
Yeah.
Berenice. So Berenice. So Antiochus divorced his wife Laodice, Laodice, in order to marry his daughter Berenice.
But Laodice, she's the one who murdered Bernice and
Yeah.
and her brother.
I think we read about this somewhere else too.
I'm thinking too, we did.
Mhm.
All right, hold on.
We just didn't have all these
I
little
need to make
details.
this note. She will
Well,
not
and this
retain her-
is
will
like
not-
many years later too. It's not, didn't all happen.
You want to hear something about Bernice?
Berenice, yes, tell us, do tell.
Not to gossip. but-
Bernice, Bernice is Greek. Is a Macedonian corruption of Phoenici and means victorious or carrying off victory. This book, this Wilkinson, informs us that the name occurs in previous history, being given to the wife of Ptolemy, however you say that, one of Alexander's generals who became king of Egypt and founder of an illustrious dynasty. Another compound with Nike implying victory is found in Eunice, the name of Timothy's mother. Hang on. Bernice, this is the family connections. Bernice was the oldest daughter of Herod Agrippa I, which we had talked
That's
about
right.
that before.
This is a different one or the same one?
This is the same one. I'm assuming
So-
here.
Bernice would have been Herod's daughter, but he said
Well-
this was his daughter.
Yeah,
Mine says Ptolemy II of Egypt gave his daughter Bernice in marriage to Antiochus II of Syria to conclude a peace treaty. That's 11:6 and 7.
This might be a different Bernice.
Yeah, that's what
There
I'm
might
thinking.
be two of
Thinking
them.
of what we were thinking of.
Well,
Um,
She was
but
messing around
But
too.
Bernice was murdered in Antioch by Antiochus II's former wife.
Yeah, Laodice, Laodis. Okay, so Antiochus divorced his wife Laodice to marry Ptolemy's daughter Bernice,
mhm.
but then Ptolemy died 2 years later. So Seleucus took back his former wife. So Seleucus is also the same as Antiochus, apparently. Because he took back his former wife, who then murdered him and Bernice. So I'm thinking Antiochus and Seleucus are the same people. If you're reading this, it says, however, Ptolemy demanded that Antiochus divorce his wife Laodice in order to marry his daughter Bernice. Then Ptolemy died after 2 years, so Seleucus took back his former wife. Well, if he's taking back his wife, that would be Antiochus, who then murdered both him and Bernice.
Why would they change names? in
They
a
do this
sentence?
all the time. I think one's a title.
Yeah, this makes me, the way mine reads, war against the Seleucids, like they're a group of people
Yeah.
Yes,
to avenge his sister's murder.
yes.
Like, that's not a
Whose
person, that's.
sister?
Is.
Whose sister? Because we're talking about the daughter.
The
and the wife.
third, Ptolemy the third. We're on the third.
Oh, okay, down here, Ptolemy, okay,
third.
is Bernice's brother. Got it, okay.
I'm glad you got. I'm just gonna listen.
That's what
Berenice,
I'm dumbing along. Dum.
Well, every time you read Ptolemy, I was wondering which one is that?
1, 2, or 3.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it
so
says in
Ptolemy
verse 6
too.
that several years
Oh.
later, an alliance will be formed between the king of Syria and the king of Egypt. And in verse 4 and 5, the king of Egypt then became Ptolemy II.
Okay, verse 5 is Ptolemy 1. Verse 6 is Ptolemy 2. Verse 7 is Ptolemy 3.
No. Oh, yeah, okay.
And then verse 10 or 9 is Ptolemy 4.
Hold on. Verse 5 is
1. Verse 6 is 2.
Verse 6, when it says King of the South. Right,
Yes,
that is
2.
2.
Yes.
So there was a partnership with Ptolemy 1 in verse 5.
I thought 5 was king of the south.
Well, it is. Well, Egypt. Ptolemy, Egypt, yes. So all of these Ptolemies are coming from the south. verse 6 is Ptolemy 2, which would be the next one.
And his daughter is Bernice.
And his daughter was Bernice.
He gave her to marriage to Antiochus.
Yes, who was
Two.
from the Seleucus.
There's an Antiochus 1 and 2.
Okay, yes, you're right. So in verse 6 is Antiochus 2, Theos. Theos would be God.
Boom, boom.
Yes, because in 10 through 19, it's Antiochus the third, the Great.
This looks like Ptolemy goes up to 6. Ptolemy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One word.
Okay, so we gotta keep these straight. Ptolemy 1 is verse 5. Ptolemy 2 and Antiochus 2 is verse 6. So Ptolemy 2 gave his daughter to Antiochus 2, had him divorce his wife, marry his daughter Berenice. After Ptolemy died, then Antiochus 2 took Laodice back, and then she murdered him and Berenice. Then in verses 7 to 9, Ptolemy 3, which is Berenice's brother.
Mhm,
We are now to that point.
mhm.
Has everybody got this straight? Did you
No.
guys write notes so that
No, I quit.
we can figure this out later? And it's almost 10:30 already. Okay, so,
Good, let's go.
all right, so 7 through 9 is Ptolemy 3, which is Berenice's brother. So Ptolemy 3, Arrogate, and Seleucus 2, Callinicus. So the new king of Egypt was the brother of Berenice. And he was intent on defending his sister's honor and avenging her death. He attacked the northern power, which was Syria, won the victory, collected a great deal of wealth. Then the two kings ignored each other for some years until Seleucus attacked Egypt in 240.
What verse is that?
We are in 7 through 9. So there Seleucus attacked Egypt in 240 and was defeated and returned home in shame. He was killed by a fall from his horse. And his son, Seleucus III, Soter, Soter, took the throne only to be assassinated 4 years later. Then you have Antiochus III the Great, who ruled from 223 to 187. Okay, so we are working towards Antiochus IV Epiphanes, who was awful. This is not him yet.
Just 13 and 16.
See, 9 through 11, that
9
would
through
be,
7 through 9, yeah.
oh, 7 through 9, okay.
Okay, let me repeat this. You ready?
Yeah.
The new king of Egypt, which was Ptolemy III, was the brother of Berenice. He wanted to defend his sister, avenge her death, so he attacked Egypt and won. The two kings ignored each other for some years until Seleucus attacked Egypt in 240. Okay, so 240, Seleucus attacked Egypt and
See,
was
my footnote says that Ptolemy 3, ascended the Egyptian throne and declared war against the Seleucids to avenge his sister's murder.
yes, in 240.
And then read on, Kim. Read 9 and 11, that footnote.
The king of Syria is Seleucus II. And the king of Egypt is Ptolemy 4.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
4th.
That's where.
Yes, which is taking us into 10 through 19. Okay, so Seleucus attacked Egypt in 240. He was defeated, had to return home in shame. This he was killed by a fall from his horse. Then his son, Seleucus III, Soter, Soter, took the throne only to be assassinated 4 years later. Okay, so Seleucus was from Syria, right? Yes. Then Antioch,
Who is the ruler of Seleucids?
what would be Seleucus 1, 2, 3, 4? They're going in order. So his son, he fell from the horse, Seleucus II, and his son, Seleucus III, Soter, Soter, he took the throne. But he was assassinated 4 years later.
Now what for Shield?
Ending on 9. So Antiochus the third, the Great, who ruled from 223 to 187, is who took over for Seleucus the third.
That's Syria.
Now we're switching from Seleucus to Antiochus's line. We're figuring this is all the things that are missing between when we got to Antiochus the fourth, Epiphanes. There was a whole bunch of stuff missing here. See how it's 323 to 168? That's how we're getting there through this. And it's 10:33. Shall we stop there and refresh our minds again tomorrow? Yeah. This concludes the reading of God's word and our history lesson for today. We will pick back up tomorrow.
So
I
we gotta
had
pick up.
I had world history in 11th grade, and I don't remember any of these names. Other than like Alexander the Great, but you get into these other ones, I don't remember ever mentioning them.
No, me either.
It's because you're being indoctrinated with false history.
Oh.
So we're gonna pick back up 11 verse